Today you join me on the Stainforth Keadby Canal at Stanilands Marina. Keep a nice simple day. We're fishing bread, short and then 2 long caster lines. To start with, I'm fishing bread. I've started with a ball the size of a tennis ball with a bit of gravel in, squeezed really tight to make sure it gets to the bottom. And we've had a great start, starting with a 1.25 gram pencil. Real positive rig with a 12 inch bolt from the hook and 2 number 9 droppers with a 4 inch hook length to an 18 and an 08 hook length. It's been really good at start to catch 4 or 5 fish on this rig, and then you seem to go on to the lighter rig, which is a 0.6. With a 18 inch bulk and 2 number 11 droppers. This is just aids a bit of a slower fall because all your bites are coming on the drop. Just as it's settling, you're getting all the bites just as it's within the first 5 or 10 seconds of that rig settling, you seem to have your bite. But if you don't get a bite in that time, if you give it another 5 seconds or so just to see if you get a bite as it's settled, if not, just don't be afraid to pick your rig up 12 inches and just lower that last part back in again, and your bites can come straight away again. Once you've caught a few fish and it's petering out and you've switched to your lighter rig to nick that last couple of fish, I've just been topping up with a tennis ball with gravel in again, squeezed nice and tight, and that just seems to bring the fish back and you can catch another run of fish on both rigs, and you just seem to repeat it. Real simple fishing and nice cheap bait bill as well. It's also important to make sure you have a short lash between your pole tip and your float, because all you're doing is lifting up into the fish. You don't want to be striking your bread off, because if you're really lined up, this fishing is all about being efficient and quick. So you want to be in and out and catching as many fish as you can. So everything you can do just to speed yourself up a bit is ideal. You can catch all sorts of fish on this. You can catch chub, but a lot of main species we're targeting is roach, anywhere from 1 ounce to 12 ounce. We've had a few bigger ones on it, but your general stamp is 1 ounce to 12 ounce. On a nice 3mm punch. It's important to flick your rig out at start, and then you just follow it with the last section, so just lower it straight over the top, hang on to that last 12 inch and lower it nice and slow. And if you don't get a bite, just lift your rig up 12 inches, just lower it back in. Just watch them fish, watch it fall again. You just get it just as it settles. And you go straight into a fish then. Although we've started on bread and it's been great, we're catching roach, we've also fed 2 other lines, both at 14.5 metres, but at different parts of my peg, hoping to target some better quality fish on casters. Basically aiming to catch anything. It could be chub, perch, skimmers, roach, anything that swims really. That's a great thing about casters. So we've started them, we've fed my bread line, and then I've gone straight out and put about 50 casters on each line. And then throughout the day while fishing bread for the first hour or two, as long as I can get bites on it really, I keep topping up with 50 casters every 20 minutes, half an hour or so. Because generally your casters are always better later in the day. And that seems to be when you can catch your bonus fish. And great thing about it, you never know what you're going to hook into. But I'll look to stay on this line as long as I can get bites. And keep fish coming. As it's a great weight builder catching roach. Probably average stamp's probably 2 ounce. But it's a nice, easy way. Fishing nice and short so you can be quick. We're only fishing 9 metres. Which means you can get fish in and out really quick when you get them queued up. But keeping it nice and simple. Topping up every time the bites slow down, as your bites are coming relatively quickly. You're not waiting for bites. Another important thing that also can get you them extra few bites is moving your float. Best thing to do is catch like an inch or 2 inch off bottom. So you plumb up and then you want to come just off bottom, so you shallow your float up. As that can bring an extra few fish that just sit off the bread, just above it. And your 3mm punch is just sat there in front of them. Right, we've been fishing my bread line now for 2 hours, alternating rigs, having really good runs of fish, topping up with little golf balls like we said. But while I've been doing that, I've obviously been going out every 20 minutes and topping up my caster line. So we're going to have a look on it now, hopefully go straight under and we'll get a bite, because this is generally when we catch the better stamped fish. I like to fish 2 rigs on my caster lines. I always like to start on my lighter one, which is a 0.4 with a strung bulk to about 18 inches away, and then 3 number 11 droppers to a 6 inch size 20 hook. Just that slow fall just aids, that last bit of fall just aids the casters that you're feeding. It just looks a bit more natural and you tend to get them bites just as the rig's settling again. And straight away we're in. Lovely fish to start with. Great thing is about casters, you never know what you're going to hook next. You can have some really nice fish. And the roach are always much better stamp. Like there we've got a 5 or 6 ounce roach. Don't need many of them to build a nice net up. I like to feed 2 caster lines. Generally I try, it's whatever's best for your float colour to sit in, but I like to sit in 2 caster lines with the same depth. But I feed them differently once I start fishing them, because sometimes loose feeding can be really good. So I like to feed one with a cup and then loose feed another as we get into the match. And then we can see which one's best. And sometimes you can get real good runs loose feeding, and sometimes you can get your bonus fish on the rig where you're just feeding and leaving it. Got another one now. Little perch by the looks of things. The little roach. Come to Stanilands today, and Stainforth Keadby Canal is not just known for its lovely nets of roach, It's been also famous for chub, bream and skimmers. I've never drawn here myself in a match, but I've heard great weights of bream and roach in this section. Be lovely today to catch a bream or something of a better stamp. But it just shows that you can catch a lot of things. Other part of that section you can catch a lot of tench. So there's plenty to go at, whether you're pleasure fishing or in a match. It's plenty of fish to go at. All different methods, but keeping it simple like I have today means you're always going to have bites. You're not breaking the bank with bait you've got. Once you've had your initial few bites on this line, since you've been feeding, you generally have a quick run. But it's really important to keep picking up your rig or laying it back in again, just so you've got that fall of that caster. It means you can pick them extra few fish up. Just as the rig settling, often it's bonus fish as well that are taking it. A bit more weary ones, but because it's falling through the water naturally, you get more bites. Got another one. I also set a 0.8 rig up, again with a strung bulk and number 11 droppers, but I just set the 0.8 up because sometimes it runs, and if it pulls quite hard, your 0.4 doesn't sit naturally and it'll ride the water too much. So a 0.8 sits nice and stable, still might pull through, but with a strung bulk again you've still got the natural slow fall, but it means you've got a bit more control of your rig. And sometimes when it's pulling or it's windy, a bit more stable rig just means more bites because you can present it right. But just keep it nice and simple. It's always need to work your rig. Just to keep bites coming. Because that fall is so important, that last bit from your bulk, your couple of droppers and that last 18 inch of fall. You get so many bites just as it's settling. But then some days a 0.8's better, where you can almost hold it still and just hang on to it. But you've just got to set them both up and you just see what's best on the day. You get some lovely fish. Right, we've had a really good run on this caster line to the right. I've caught some lovely roach and perch, loose feeding. But I've left my left hand line, I haven't been on it yet. I've kept cupping bait in, because I'm hoping this is where some better stamp fish are going to be sat. And I'm drawing all the other smaller fish in with my loose feed. So I'm hoping now I'm just going to drop in and catch some decent stamp fish. Still feeding casters, but just not with a catapult, with a pot. Same rig, same depth. We've got a fish now. So it just shows, even though you've been resting that line, they're still there. A little roach. So odd luck on that line. Can always produce a better stamp fish because you're resting it and leaving it and not hammering the area. The other line, it's great for catapulting bait, drawing fish in and just catching as many fish as you can. But always having this line spare means you've always got that chance of catching that better fish that's just sat out of the way. But always make sure you're still feeding your other line. Just to keep bait going in. I mean, if you're not catching on this line with it being the same depth, you can just flick straight back onto the other line and carry on catching your smaller roach and perch. But always keep topping this up with a cup just to make sure that there's bait in there for if you might have odd occasional luck on it, and you never know, a better fish could be sat there waiting. Elastic I really like to use is a hybrid elastic, and that's because when you're fishing this caster line you can land all your normal stamp fish with solid elastic, but every now and again you hook a bonus fish, and using a hybrid elastic like Zip, I'm using size 4 to 6, just gives you that extra bit of cushion, that extra bit of control to land bonus fish. So using this elastic just gives me a bit more confidence, but also means you're not playing fish as long and you've got more chance of getting them in the net. Which means you can land fish like that easily. Right, well, we've had a nice day catching on both caster lines. Obviously we started on the bread, but by far the right hand line's been miles better. Been loose feeding casters. The line that I thought might have been a bit better for bonus fish, where I've just potted and not loose fed, has produced some fish, but we've had the best fish at day, which were a £3 bream on the loose fed caster line. It's been really important to keep laying your rig in. Point fall's been best again, just for that nice slow fall. And the left hand line I left and rested, hoping just to maybe nick the odd bonus fish with not loose feeding, but it turns out the right hand line's been a lot better. I've kept loose feeding, steady away every time I lay my rig in, and then I've caught on that runs of roach and perch, not bad stamps, some smaller, but then we've had a few better ones. And then out at blue, £3 breams come on the loose fed line. Then every now and again, to rest the loose fed line, I've just sat on the one when I've potted it, nicked odd roach, odd perch, but no decent stamp ones like we were hoping. It's been a productive day. Using a 0.4 rig's been best. Again with the strung out effect on the bottom third, with the last drop has been number 11s, and just hanging on to it. All the bites have generally come just as it's settling. You haven't had to wait long, you've had to work your rig. Now you can have a look at what I've caught.